Well, it's already time to start harvesting some of our squash. The summer squash that we planted in our heirloom vegetable garden was summer crookneck, and we have squash just ready to come off the vine. And right in here, we've got a beautiful crookneck squash ready to harvest. Now, summer squash are actually called summer squash because, of course, the time that it takes to get a squash off of a summer squash vine is much shorter than that of winter squash. And the reason for this is that summer squash are actually harvested when they're still immature. To leave a summer squash on the vine until it's mature would make it very tough. It would not be good to eat. And so you can harvest these very young, even days after they've been pollinated. And short, about 6 inches is a good length to have a very nice tender squash. And we have several squash here that are ready to go ahead and harvest. Now, it's important to continue to keep up with the harvest as you go along, because a squash is an annual plant, and once it's set a squash and it's basically feels like it's gotten its job done, it's got seeds there that are ready to go, and it wants to go ahead and let this ripen to maturity. And so if we were to leave this on the plant, our squash vines would basically shut down. And so we want to keep these picked off of our vines so that they continue. Now, I keep referring to these plants as vines, but actually this is more of a bush type of squash. Again, this is summer crookneck, and it's a bush type. And if you have a smaller garden, this is a good selection to make because it doesn't take up quite as much space. Now, we have 2 hills here, and we have 3 plants in each, and those are probably even a little bit close. We probably could have spaced these about 2 feet apart each plant, but we combined them here, and we have some beautiful looking plants here. Now, in the middle, between our summer squash and our winter squash, we have, remember our bee's friend? Well, our bee's friend has basically done its job. It's already bloomed and it's starting to set seed, and we probably need to go ahead and take that out of there. But while it was blooming, it did attract bees quite well, and it's important to have bees to pollinate your squash. Now, the important thing, if you're going to save seeds, which is often the case when you've got heirloom vegetables, you want to save the seeds from season to season, it's important to know what squash you have and what squash your neighbors have planted, because in order to get pure seed, squash have to be separated by half a mile. Now, that's squash within a species. This species is Cucurbita pepo, which most of the summer squash are Cucurbita pepo, and that means that they could cross with other Cucurbita pepos in the same area. Now, right next to it, we have a Cucurbita maxima, that's gold nugget growing. And so these 2 squash, the pollen, they wouldn't cross. We wouldn't get a cross between that, so that wouldn't hurt our seed in this squash. However, right over in our children's garden, we have another zucchini growing, which is another Cucurbita pepo. And that could very easily, the pollen from that could be carried over by bees or other insects, and we'd have a cross. Therefore, our seed would not be pure. So if we're going to save seed from year to year, we need to do some hand pollination, because in a home situation, you have no idea what your neighbors down the block are growing, and they have to be separated by a mile in order to ensure purity. So to basically ensure purity of your own seed, you're going to need to hand pollinate your squash, even if you don't have other varieties growing of the same species. Now, when you start to hand pollinate your squash, the first thing that you want to look at is you need to be able to distinguish between the male and female flowers. All squash have male and female flowers. Now, the first thing that you want to be able to do is distinguish between male and female flowers. And with a squash, it's pretty easy because it's pretty obvious here. Some of the other cucurbits, it's not quite so obvious, but here you can see we have a very small female flower, and look just below that you have a tiny what's a potential fruit. This is the ovary. And so below that female flower, you've got the ovary. Now, right next to it here, we have a male flower, and you notice that it doesn't have any ovary at all. It just comes straight up on a stem. And so that's your difference between male and female flowers. Now, as we go on up here and look, right here, we have a female flower that's been pollinated. It's gone ahead and wilted. Squash blossoms are only open for a day, and you can see that we've got more development of our fruit. Now, if this had not been pollinated, then this would drop off after a while. Now, we look on into the plant. The next thing that you want to do is you want to come out in the morning and in the evening and kind of see how your squash blossoms open and what they look like just before they open. Because what you're going to want to do is gauge it so that you can tell what they look like the day before they're going to open. Now they open up first thing in the morning. And right here we have a male flower, and you can see how it's just starting to turn yellow here. It hasn't opened yet, but you can see some yellow showing. Now that's very important, and most likely this one is going to open in the morning, and so we're going to come back and talk about what to do with that later. But I want to show you a female flower then right over here that is getting ready to open as well. And again, if you start this now, you can kind of observe your blossoms and see what they look like just before they're going to open. So you can do that for a few days. Now right here we have a female flower, and you can see again how, whoops, there we go, how we're starting to see a little bit of yellow, and you can again see it's a female because we've got our beginnings of a fruit on the back. Now those haven't opened yet, and so what you're going to do is to go out in the evening and tape those blossoms, both male and female. You can pick a couple of female blossoms and several male blossoms and tape those shut just lightly, but you want to tape them shut so that they don't open up on their own first thing in the morning. What you're doing here is you're basically keeping those shut until you can get out to the garden so that they don't get pollinated by an insect before you get out there and you don't know it. So you go and select those, tape those shut, and again you can select some female plant blossoms and then select several male blossoms, tape them shut the night before. Then what you do is you come out in the morning after the plants have dried off, and you can untape your female blossoms. And actually you should probably untape your male blossoms first and take the petals off of those. Take all of the petals off of those. And you want to clip those with a length of stem on them that you're going to use to hold on to that male blossom. And then you're going to take those and go to your female flower and untape that, and it should kind of spread open for you. And you're going to rub the pollen from the male flowers onto the female flowers. And you want to put that on the stigma and use several different male blossoms from different plants if you can, because that helps with your genetic diversity. And it also helps ensure good pollination if you use several different male blossoms on the female blossom. Now after you've done that, then you need to be very careful and tape that female blossom back closed. Now the male blossoms, you can discard those, they've done their job. The female blossom, however, though, you need to watch while you're doing this. It pays to be quick about it because you don't want to let an insect or a bee in there while you're doing your pollination, because what will happen is they could have brought pollen in from somewhere else and you won't be able to use that one. So be careful and don't let any other insects in there. Tape that female blossom closed again to prevent any other insects from getting in there, bringing in extra pollen. And then if you've had a successful pollination, that fruit will go ahead and grow. Now the other thing that you want to do at this time after you've pollinated is you want to mark that fruit with a piece of string or a piece of thread, yarn, something maybe colorful that you can see, because that's going to have to stay on there the entire season. And so you're going to want to mark that well, because if your marker goes, then you don't know which squash you hand pollinated and you've lost the squash that you were using for seed. Now you probably want to wait until you've gotten a harvest off of your plants to start this process, because remember I told you once you've started letting the squash sit on the vine and grow, it's going to shut down. Or maybe you could select a few plants that you're wanting to use for your seed saving while you have other plants, or maybe you've planted another crop that you're going to use to go ahead and harvest on. But if you're wanting to continue to harvest crops off of this, you're not going to want to do this. Now you will let the squash continue to grow and go ahead and mature. Even though this is a summer squash, you're saving these for seed. So you'll let them mature throughout the season, and we'll come back later and talk about how to harvest those seeds and store them so you can plant them next year. Now while we're talking about our squash, it is also a good time to start being very diligent about insects on squash. Now squash bugs are one of the worst pests for squash, and it's very important to be diligent about keeping them off. Now the adult squash bug is about 1/2 inch long, maybe a little bit larger than that, and it's grayish in color, a dark gray color. Now they're often confused with stink bugs because when you smash a squash bug, it stinks. but this is a squash bug. And the reason diligence is so important in control of squash bugs is that once the adults are present, they're almost impossible to control by spraying. You basically have to manually pick them off, and it's not a bad idea to do that anyway whenever you see them. But you can control the squash bug when you catch it at an earlier stage. Now, one of the best stages to catch squash bugs is to watch your plants closely, and when you see the eggs, you can actually go in and rub them off. And right down here, we have eggs that have been laid on a leaf here, and you can see what the squash bug eggs look like. They start out lighter and then they kind of turn a bronze color, and you'll usually see them laid in groups. And you can see here they just look like little bronze pearls on this leaf. Now, a very good control for this, catching them, kind of nipping them in the bud, is just to come in here and just wipe these off with your finger, and that can help. Also, once the eggs hatch into the nymphs, they're very small and they start to cluster and feed together at first. Now, these are very miniature versions of squash bugs. They're usually lighter in color and almost look, I don't know, kind of a spider-like. They look like they have long legs, but they're clustered together. And so you can, again, either remove those manually or you can get them with a spray at that time. You can use thiodine. You can also use pyrethrins if you want to go the organic route. But even manually removing them at this point is a good idea. But once they reach the adult stage, your insecticides really don't affect them. Now, something that you can do to kind of round up your squash bugs is to place a piece of wood next to your squash plants, because what happens is the adult squash bugs will actually gather underneath this piece of wood overnight, and in the morning you can come out and pull this back and gather up the squash bugs. And so a piece of wood, I would probably use something that maybe was a little bit shorter than this and a little wider, say a shingle. A wood shingle would work very well, but you can place these and get quite a few squash bugs in one place that way. But this is an important pest to keep an eye on because you can actually do a lot early on while you can't control it later.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.